This is a super quick overview of some of the new features with PRC-Saltillo in the last, what feels like ages. It's been a long time since I was last here in January of 2020. We had just launched the new booth. We were just starting to talk about PRC-Saltillo as a joint company as opposed to two separate ones, and there was lots of confusion and questions. About 5% of our consultants at the time were representing all of our product lines. Now that's more than 70% and growing. But here are some fun numbers. Since January of 2020, there have been 32 new software updates across our devices. We've released 4 new devices, including a new 1400, new NovaChats, and a VIA Pro. If you were here at ATIA in 2020, we just had a test version of the VIA Pro, which ended up looking very different. We have 3 new exciting implementation services or products and 1 new app. So the next few minutes, I'm just going to go through what my highlights are. They may be very different than yours, or Jeremy's. I'm going to pick on him sitting back there. So we're going to talk about some new features in Empower, or what I call empowering your accents. We can chat it up with NovaChat and talk about some of the features that are there, what I think are absolutely amazing apps, and some engaging implementation products and services. Although I have devices up here, I'm not going to show them on the screen for 20 minutes. It would have been, I would have ran into more technical issues than I would have solved. But just a few notes, product-wise. Anybody use the 1000, Accent 1000 with Look on it? So I love this product because it's the smallest eye tracking system, super powerful. For me, my eyes work better with a smaller screen, and so I want to make sure folks know that the Look module is available with the Accent 1000, and that's relatively new in the last year or so. Another feature that I love with Empower is List-O-Matic. That came out, I believe, last software release. Anybody using List-O-Matic on Empower? I'm going to show you a quick video that talks about how it can be used, or about the world's first reusable, gross, sorry. I thought it was supposed to do sound, but I don't think it is. No, that's all right. List-O-Matic is a versatile button action that can be used to create buttons that count to 10, roll dice, play bingo, tell jokes, and so much more. So you can add, basically, with a button in Empower, a series of words or phrases that then you can select in random order, and it pulls together. So it makes it a really nice way to involve early communicators, to play games, to engage in different ways within their classroom or at home. And so what Beth demonstrates in this video is a twister game. So basically, the button is programmed with right or left, and hand or foot, and then 4 colors. So every time the user touches the twister button, it randomizes that and gives you, right hand blue or left foot green. So it's a fun way to use it. You can use it for rolling dice. We used to have a tool that would basically randomize things. Any other good ideas for what you might do with that? Okay, well, it's something fun to think about. Another feature that's coming out within the next 2 weeks, we got a lot of feedback from folks who wanted to use Vocabulary Builder, or who are using Vocabulary Builder, but that when they add a new word to Unity, they wanted that word to automatically show up in their vocabulary list. So it's a great example of listening to feedback that's out there and incorporating that into our software feature. So if you're using Vocabulary Builder, it's going to make adding words and using those lists lots more easier. And then another thing that's new since ATIA of 2020 is message banking importing within Essence. So we have a PRC-Saltillo message banking site. The same also works if you use the Tobii Dynavox message banking site. It's a great example of co-opetition and folks using similar technology across devices. So you can go and you can do your message banking in here, and then once you get to your Empower software with Essence vocabulary, it basically pulls in all of the messages that you've used and attaches them to pages that you've tagged. So if you've tagged here, for example, I tagged, I would love to go to Italy with a travel tag. Then once I go to Empower, I can pull all my travel tags together and they end up in one page of all my messages that I've tagged with that item on it. So it's a really seamless way to pull message banking into Empower. Same thing also works in our Dialogue AAC app as well. All right, moving on to NovaChat, some fun new features that have started with NovaChats. We've really put a lot of work into individualization and diversity options. And so 2 examples of this are skin tone changes within Symbol Sticks. So Symbol Sticks gives us the capability to choose from 5 different skin tones. And we've rolled this out slowly over the last year. So first you could globally change the skin tone within Symbol Sticks to one of those 5 tones. Then we were able to do it with randomizer, so you could assign random skin tones, and just this last software release, you're able to do it per button. The example that is in one of our training videos and on here, you randomized it, but you want to make sure mom has a specific skin tone, you can change that on the button level. The other thing you can do on a button level is change pronunciation. So if it's Anna is one of your friends and Anna is another one of your friends, but they're spelled the same way, you can make sure that that pronunciation is different across those different buttons. We've also done a lot of work to make sure that the programming and support within chat software is easy and more intuitive. One example of that is being able to edit buttons globally. So that pop-up there, somebody's trying to change a vocabulary word and a picture, and the software tells you, hey, this button is used twice, 2 other times within the vocabulary. Do you want to change it across the whole vocabulary? And it's a really quick and easy way to do that. And then the last one that I find fun for my super quick presentation is auditory and visual fishing. Let me see if I can grab exactly where I want it here. I'm using these What's New video updates. If you all don't do that for our software releases, I encourage you to do it. They're really well done. It gives you a quick rundown of everything that's new. And it's done for our apps, for chat software, and for Empower software. The audio isn't working, sorry. So this is in the Access menu. They've reorganized the menus within chat software to make it a little bit more intuitive. And there's a new option called Fishing, and that is right there. So we can see it here with auditory and visual fishing on. So in one voice, you touch and the button gets bigger and it says drink in one voice, finish, another same voice, get. And then if that is the one that you want, you can push it again and it says get in the voice that you've chosen. So a nice new option. The visual and the auditory was done on purpose with some really nice input from clinicians around the country. All right, moving on to apps. Just a note that our 3 main iOS apps are available as standalone in the Apple iStore or the App Store, and also within VIA Pro dedicated devices. So our new app addition to the PRC-Saltillo app family is Dialogue. It was released about a year ago. It's a text-to-speech system, primarily relying on spelling, word prediction, and some quick phrases. The 2 vocabulary systems within the Dialogue app are Essence 60 and Essence 84. So if you're used to the Essence vocabulary in Empower, it looks very similar to that as well. And this is some information about Dialogue. One of the great features within all the apps that I'll talk about are the integration of Almagoo voices. And so there's two options within the apps. The first is that there's more inclusive voices, more than I think we've seen in the AAC industry at all. Child, teen, adult, and elder voices. Also different accents, African American accents, and they're building more all the time. So if you haven't stopped by and see the Almagoo booth, he can give you a demonstration of that. Also, really important to us within Dialogue was the ability for somebody to bank their own voice, not just their messages, but to really make sure that the voice that they use is representative of them. So it also includes a free personal voice, so you can record messages, and it creates a synthetic voice for you that you can then use within the app. It's a little eerie sounding. I've fooled a couple people on the phone with mine. All of our apps, TouchChat and Limp Words for Life included, have new and updated websites. Makes it really easy to find support information, tutorials, get information about the apps, in-app purchases, things like that. I talked about the inclusive voice suite and the personal voices. Excuse me. And then new features within TouchChat and Dialogue AAC include the head tracking feature and improvements to that for centering and pausing the head tracking. Sorry, I've been talking for an hour and a half, and so I need some water. And then the whiteboard feature within TouchChat and Dialogue is a great feature to be able to draw and get needs communicated in a different way if you can't find a picture for what you're looking for. All right, implementation resources. Any of you used AAC teletips in your work? So this was developed, oh, that's not helpful. This was developed at the start of the pandemic. It's one of the quickest things I've ever seen come to fruition from imagination. And it was basically a group of PRC-Saltillo consultants and training folks working together to say, what resources do speech pathologists need in the field right now to make this massive switch from in-person to remote support and evaluations. And there's Elizabeth. Elizabeth is also sitting on the floor over here. Thanks, Elizabeth. It goes you to show that we use real consultants and we don't, go outside. That's all the expertise we need. So it gives you things like how to do suggestion tips for evaluating pediatric clients, evaluating adult clients. It gives you forms that you can fill out that are easily adaptable to remote. One of the things that I love, and it's kept pretty well updated, are virtual meeting platforms. We know that therapists and parents use, and school systems, everybody has a different platform that they're using. And so this goes through and gives you equipment that's needed for the speech pathologist, what the client could use, and then some certain tips for how to get started. And there's videos that are integrated in there. So if you're using Microsoft Teams for the first time and you're not quite sure how to do screen sharing, this gives you information on that. What else on here? There's just a ton. I feel like, especially at the beginning, people used it a lot, and now I think people are going back to it to remember whether it's Omicron or whether it's, just realizing that we can be efficient sometimes in this new world to do it there. So that's one of the resources I wanted to highlight. The other one that I wanted to highlight was AAC Group Coaching. This is a service that was released, I believe October of last year was the first one. It does not like this at all. So AAC Group Coaching was born out of the idea and seeing the frustration that often we can have really dedicated groups of parents and really dedicated groups of SLPs or support folks, but they're not always the same dedicated. And so we wanted to be able to provide a forum for parents who really wanted to learn more about their child's system and might not have the support of a speech pathologist that they could go to and turn. So our training team created the AAC Custom Coaching Corner. It's broken into groups specific to the vocabulary system that somebody is using and the device. So a group for parents whose children are using word power on NovaChat or TouchChat, and groups for parents whose children are using Unity or LAMP Words for Life on Accent or iPad. They've been really successful. We've done, I think we're in the middle of our second coaching session so far. The feedback from parents has been wonderful. We've had SLPs, new SLPs who want to come, so we're looking at, options for mixing and matching as we go. But if you know, my guess is if you're here, you're not one of the SLPs who is not providing great support, but if you know families who could benefit from some extra support, the AAC Custom Coaching Program is a great one. The Out for AAC website was launched, it's not working, about a year and a half ago. There's a presentation on it tomorrow at some point in the PRC-Saltillo room, and I'm doing a super brief overview with some of our other implementation resources. But this is a system for looking at how children or adults are progressing through access learning. And it's a nice website for guiding new folks through what that looks like. It talks a little bit about the history. It talks about the stages and phases that a child or an adult would go through as they learn access methods, and then goes into a little bit more detail of each of those. So I was one of the people who helped bring it to fruition. I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but I think the website also does a really nice job of digging deep when you need to and keeping it high level so that you can explain it to caregivers really easily. And then the last thing that I will highlight, because it's always a favorite at conferences, are our calendar and planners for 2022. So these are at the booth. If you want to go stop by and grab one, that would be awesome. The calendar is here, and it's an experiment with science. And it's really lesson plans in a book. It gives you ideas for vocabulary, ideas for activities. Gives you, in this one, it's all about science experiments, so how to use core words and fringe words to do fun science experiments and grow language. There's also monthly book readings that you can find on YouTube that go in conjunction with the activities in the calendar. So this is a great resource. And then we also have a planner. This one is primarily focused on word power within NovaChat and TouchChat, and the planner is primarily focused on LAMP and Unity within Accents. And this one is looking at animals for a trip to the zoo. And it goes through, it has smart charts, it has suggestions for books to get started based on the theme for the year, and it's set up a little bit differently, but tells you the books that they're using for each month, and then ideas for how to go through those books all related to animals. They're free, they're chock full of information. You can also get them online. So that was a lot of software features and implementation resources in 18 minutes. What questions do you all have that then I will send you to the booth to get answers for? Questions, thoughts? All right, well, thank you for coming. Enjoy ATIA.